Welcome to today's webinar hosted by ManageEngine on Enterprise Mobility Management for the Mobile First World. Thanks a lot for taking the time to join us today. My name is Dhwani, and with me is our product expert Nikhil, and we will be the presenters for the day. I would really like you to reply to our questions. Can you hear my voice and view the presentations before we begin? Please confirm by commenting in the chat box. All right, we shall continue. This will be the agenda for the webinar. We will start with the basic understanding of what we mean by being mobile first. We will then track the markets and the industry's move towards the mobile first world and the reasons for the move. This will be followed by the challenges that organizations face as they manage this shift towards mobility and our tips and tricks that will help you overcome these challenges. We will then take you through a short demo of our mobile device monitoring tool and wrap up the webinar with the question and answer session. It will be great to have your participation throughout this webinar. So if you have any questions, please use the chat box in your GoToWebinar panel. Simply type in your question and click send. At the end of the presentation, we will take as many questions as possible. If we do not have time to take all your questions, we will email you the answers within 2 working days. So, with all the hype about mobile first around all of us, let's be clear on what exactly do we mean by the term. Mobile first here refers to the business strategy that assumes every mobile device to be the primary tool for employees use to get their work done. As this scenario gains ground across enterprises, it's taking the industry towards the evolution of the mobile enterprise. Some major events that point in this direction. Let's take Google's search index for example. Google's shift to mobile first indexing, which ranks search results based on mobile version of the websites, is the outcome of the shift from people accessing websites from the desktop to their mobile phones. As this technology develops, so do its takers. But more importantly, it's the affordability that has played a major role in its mass adoption. Here, we can take a look at the StatCounter's global stat, if you can see on your screens, which showcases the historic event where more users in October 2016 accessed the web from their mobile devices like smartphones and tablets than they did from their desktops or notebooks. As can be seen here, although the trend has always been hinting at the scenario, it has only recently been achieved. Now, mobility in general has seen quite a paradigm shift. But what about enterprise mobility? What's in it for your organization? The 3 major reasons why you should embrace mobility are productivity, portability, and most importantly, the technology's return on investment. A study from Mobile Work Exchange that proves an increased productivity of almost 9 hours per week owing to mobile devices should be reason enough for most enterprises. But the ability to be online and at work wherever one may be is a major advantage, especially since most employees find their freedom working untethered to their desks. And how do you sell the mobility idea to those deciding budgets? Well, this State of Business Mobility report finding should get them on board. An average return on investment of 150% is what should sell your idea. As per this Pew Research Center survey here, the vast majority of Americans, that is about 95%, now own a cell phone of some kind. The share of Americans that own smartphones is now 77% up, from just 35% in the year 2011, when the survey was first conducted. Assuming the trend continues a few years down the line, the researchers expect 95% of the population to have not only a cell phone, but a smartphone. The statistics show that your employees are already mobile. The question is, are you ready? I would now like Nikhil to take you through the challenges that a mobile enterprise faces when managing mobility and show us how we can overcome the same.
Thank you, Dhwani. Hello, folks. We are glad that you could join us today and hope that you will take away meaningful insights from today's session. So, let's proceed. Now, why would you, as an enterprise owner or founder, choose to empower your workforce with mobile devices as a tool to aid in their work? Well, first and foremost, as the name of our topic today suggests, there is greater mobility. With a workforce spread across the globe, there is a need for employees to work from anywhere and at any time. Employees would want to perform routine tasks during their downtime from their smartphones and concentrate on mission-critical work while they're at their desks. The second benefit that your organization gets is increased productivity. Gone are the days of the standard 9-to-5 job. What has emerged now in enterprises is a culture that is more employee-centric and allows employees to work from anywhere as long as they deliver suitable results. And the final benefit would be improved collaboration. Employees that communicate with each other are sure to get the job done faster, and mobile devices will help achieve this. So, the example of the hassle-free invoicing app, Zoho Invoice, is perfect to highlight all these reasons. For your organization's field employees, and especially the sales teams, keeping up with their targets is, as it is, a very stressful task. On closure of a deal with a customer, a bunch of paperwork follows in the form of invoices, recording expenses, sending payment reminders, and so on. Zoho Invoice reduces all this hassle with paperwork by providing a mobile app that simplifies the invoicing process, allowing your field team employees to prepare their client's invoice at the touch of a button. This app has improved process efficiencies and saved costs for many enterprises. There are a number of apps similar to Zoho Invoice available on different app stores, which enterprises can leverage on for better results. So, taking a step towards becoming a mobile enterprise involves tackling a number of challenges and threats. The first challenge would be setting up the infrastructure within your enterprise. Employees would need access to corporate data via internet in order to perform tasks. Hence, there is now a need to ensure that this data is available for secure access by your employees. Should this corporate data be exposed via an app, your organization has to ensure that it is mobile compatible. Many organizations use in-house apps which is commonly known as an enterprise app for this purpose. The Wi-Fi connectivity within your enterprise should also have to be strengthened, and including the number of access points and the bandwidth as well, to accommodate for a sudden spike in mobile users. Another challenge is in the form of the advancing technology. Mobile tech is one of the fastest growing and evolving tech these days. Device manufacturers keep rolling out different models of devices each day. To add to this, each of these will have its own flavor of operating system, be it Android, iOS, Symbian, Windows, and so on. Managing this growing fleet of devices is a challenge. The next challenge that you would face is managing your employee expectations. So, your employees might not want to carry around two devices and hence would store their personal as well as corporate data on a single device. It is important to safeguard corporate data without compromising on your employees' privacy. Devices need to be compliant with the company policy. Jailbroken and rooted devices stand a higher chance of being infected with viruses, malware, and also cyber attacks. The biggest threat that any organization can come across is in the form of data loss. History has shown us that sensitive company data in the wrong hands can topple even the biggest of organizations. In an information media security group study, it was found that 50% of organizations say that content theft and leakage are their primary concerns. Physical access is the most common type of data leakage. Mobile devices, being small, portable, and lightweight, are also an easy target to be stolen or get misplaced. According to Consumer Reports, a staggering 5.2 million devices were lost or stolen in the US alone in the year 2014. In the wrong hands, even the best antivirus is powerless. Device attacks are designed typically to gain control over the device and its data. So, malware and malicious code is a common type of device attack which can steal device data. For companies whose employees use public Wi-Fi, be it at airports, coffee shops, or libraries, the stakes are even higher because open network serve as a playground for hackers to infiltrate and access these devices. Well, insider threats can be of two types: intentional and unintentional. By intentional, I mean that a malicious employee of the organization intentionally decides to download sensitive data onto his mobile's memory card or share it via email. The example of the case between Waymo and Uber's self-driving cars can be taken into consideration here. And by unintentional, I mean an employee inadvertently downloads a malicious app that steals his data. The following slides are taken from the National Vulnerability Database and show the existing vulnerabilities for the keywords Android and iOS. This slide displays around 3,298 vulnerabilities for Android, and the next slide shows us around 1,150 vulnerabilities for iOS. This difference is largely due to the fact that Android devices are more widely used and have software that can be easily manipulated. Well, many of you probably already know what ransomware is after WannaCry came into the scene, and awareness on this topic is only growing daily. The most widespread type of desktop ransomware is the CryptoLocker, which is a type of malware that encrypts your data and offers to restore it for a ransom amount. Well, another not so well-known type of ransomware is the blocker. This blocker actually blocks your browsers or your operating systems from working and demands a ransom from you in order to return access. Blockers are a much more popular means to infect Android devices. And on mobiles, they act simply by overlaying the interface of every app with their own, so a victim can't use any app at all. These blockers hold 99% of the mobile ransomware market. Between 2014 to 15, there were four main actors dominating the mobile ransomware scene. These were Spring, Pletter, Small, and Fuso. In the year 2015, it was reported that the US represented the main target for mobile ransomware. 1 out of 10 users who encountered malware found it in the form of mobile ransomware. Analysts expect that this number will only grow in the upcoming years. Most of you might be familiar with this logo. This is the logo of the infamous stage fright bug that had affected more than 1 billion devices worldwide. The hack is able to execute remote code on a device and take complete control with no more data other than the phone number. It has been dubbed one of the worst vulnerabilities discovered till date. Last month, a malware by the name of Judy infected somewhere between 8.5 to 36.5 million devices worldwide. The modus operandi of this malware is to generate ad clicks for its creator. It is a form of auto-clicking adware that was found on 41 apps on the Play Store. Many of us would have definitely come across a message similar to the one on the screen, saying that you've gotten lucky and won $1 million from so-and-so. Well, now we know better. This is a form of phishing known as SMishing. Through this, hackers acquire personal details such as passwords by masquerading as a trustworthy entity. Last year saw Pokemon Go take the world by storm. Almost everyone everywhere went berserk on seeing their favorite childhood anime being brought to life with the help of augmented reality. Well, I know I did at least. and everyone wanted to be a part of this hype. So there have been up to more than 500 million downloads of Pokemon Go, and people started downloading this app from various sites. And this was an opportunity for hackers to do some mischief. The hackers were able to manipulate the original code and add malicious code to the app, thus giving them access to the device. According to a 2016 report by Symantec, the United States is the most susceptible developed country for cyber attacks, with 39% of Americans personally experienced cybercrime within the past year, compared to 31% of the people globally. So, when it comes to managing mobility, you would require a solution that aims to maintain the perfect balance in both employee productivity and data security. The solution in this case is ManageEngine's Mobile Device Manager Plus. These are the features that ManageEngine Mobile Device Manager Plus provides. Over-the-air device enrollment that allows you to add devices to your network manually or automatically. Mobile application management that allows you to distribute both in-house and store apps. Create and configure policies and profiles for different departments and associate them with appropriate groups with the help of profile management. Manage and secure your corporate emails through platform containerization. Scan to fetch details of the device. Configure stringent security policies to protect corporate data from outside threats. Audit and generate reports for your mobile devices that are in management. This solution supports the main mobile operating systems, which are Android, iOS, and Windows, and is also available on both on-premise as well as a cloud offering. So now let me give you some real-time scenarios that have been faced by many enterprises concerning their employees using mobile devices. So some of these might sound familiar to those that your enterprise has encountered. While I do this, I will also show you how Mobile Device Manager Plus solves the problem faced in these scenarios. So I'm sure this is a very common scenario everywhere. It can so happen that your employees lose a device that contain company-sensitive files or attachments which are in their mailbox. Many enterprises look for a fail-safe option in such scenarios. Mobile Device Manager Plus can provide that fail-safe. Let me show you how. So let me take you to the product console page. This is the home page of the solution. It gives us an overall summarized picture of the devices that are connected, the platforms that these devices run on, the number of apps that each of them have, and also which of these are company-owned or private devices. Now, before I proceed to solving the lost device scenario, I will first show you the first step of device management, that is bringing these devices into management or enrolling them within your network. I click on the Enrollment tab. This page displays the devices that are already enrolled or yet to be enrolled in our network. We can see in the remarks section which devices are enrolled and which are yet to accept the enrollment invite. So enrollment can be done in a number of ways with Mobile Device Manager Plus. The first kind is a self-enrollment method that requires employees to enroll themselves within the organization. In order to do this, I have to first send them an enrollment invite. I do this by clicking on the Enroll Device button on top. Select the type of device it is. Let's say iOS for now. You're then brought to a screen which asks you to enter your the employee user's name and his email address. You select whether the device is a personal or a corporate device, and you can choose to assign it to a particular group. I'll get into grouping later on in the session. And click Enroll. You can also choose to configure a template over here which will be sent out via email to the employees. So, okay. All right. So as you can see, this process has a number of steps and is time consuming to send one by one to each employee. To reduce these steps, Mobile Device Manager Plus can enroll devices in bulk. The same method of enrollment by invite can be performed by uploading a CSV file with the employee details. Mobile Device Manager Plus has other bulk enrollment methods to ease this enrollment process. In case of Apple devices, we have the Apple Device Enrollment Program known as the DEP and the Apple Configurator, both of which allow for fast and easy enrollment of devices. In case of Android devices, our solution is one of the few that supports near-frequency communication enrollment, QR code enrollment, and Knox Mobile enrollment, all of which give faster device enrollment. And for Windows device, we support Windows ICD enrollment. All these enrollment methods reduce the work for the admin and bring the device under management seamlessly. So now let's get back to the scenario of the lost device. So let's say one of my employees, Kripke Smith, has lost his mobile device and is unable to recall where and when he misplaced it. Let's try and help him out. I click on the Inventory tab. This tab gives me an overall view and summary of all the devices that are connected within my network. So we can see that there are only a few devices connected to my network for as of now, but this is not so in the case of enterprises that have hundreds and thousands of employees. So should that be the case, I can narrow down to a particular set of employees by filtering the device either by platform, by group, by OS version, or by device type. Okay. All right. So now that I know Kripke lost his device, here's Kripke's iPhone. I click on Kripke's iPhone. So this takes me to a page that provides an overall summary of Kripke's device, as you can see. So to the right hand corner, we see that there's a drop down box with the titled Actions. I click on that. And we can locate the device by clicking on the Locate Device button. Now, let's say that the device is in the vicinity. So what we can do is sound a remote alarm by clicking on this button, Remote Alarm. It'll then produce a sound. So if you're still unable to locate it, we can choose to enable a feature called Lost Mode. When Lost Mode is enabled, the device is locked and a message displaying the contact number for communication will be displayed in the lock screen of the device. So if someone has found the device, they can reach out to the concerned person right away. All the other functionalities, apart from calling this number alone, will be disabled. So now let's take a worst case wherein the device is stolen. Okay, in such a case, you can choose either to wipe the company data from the device by clicking on Corporate Wipe, or completely wipe the whole device, including the personal data, including the employee's personal device, by clicking the Complete Wipe button. Okay. Moving on to the next scenario. A little fact over there. All right. So jailbroken iPhones and rooted Android devices always pose a greater threat and risk since they become an easier target for malware and cyber attacks. There have been instances wherein enterprise data was compromised simply due to the fact that employees' devices weren't compliant with the enterprise's security policies. So now there should be some sort of a way to detect whether or not the device is compliant. Mobile Device Manager Plus can solve this. Let's see how. Okay, back to the product console. On the top, there's a Reports tab. I click on that. This takes me to a page that gives us an overall view of the reports that are predefined and can be pulled. We can pull reports pertaining to apps, to devices, enrollment reports, and security. In our scenario, we would like to find out how many devices are compliant with our company policy. That is, how many devices are how many are not compliant with our company policy. So in our scenario, we want to find out which devices are rooted or jailbroken. So in the security reports column, click on rooted devices. Okay, wow, that's nice. So we see that there are no devices that are rooted in our enterprise. I go back and I click on jailbroken devices. Oh, okay. So I see that Johnny has an iOS device that is jailbroken. So now I can proceed to remove it from management altogether. I click on the enrollment tab, the top. I select Johnny's device over here, Johnny's iPad, and click remove device from management. Right, and I click yes. For now, I'll just close this tab. Okay, back to the scenarios. So many of us use more than one device to access our office emails. However, there are some places that have the requirement that their employees should access company email only from a particular device. Well, not only email, this can be company contacts, the calendar settings, and so on. Such a functionality can be made in line with conditional exchange access. The conditional exchange access policy lets you restrict access to users' mailbox from the devices that are not managed by MDM. When I say MDM, it is Mobile Device Manager Plus. It is short for Mobile Device Manager Plus. I'll be using MDM a lot throughout the session. All right. So I click on Device Management on the top. This directs me to a page which shows groups and devices. I'll get to that in a bit. So now there's also, to the left, we have an option called Conditional Exchange Access. I click on that button. Well, the policy is already configured on my console. You can modify it by clicking on this symbol here and choose whether or not you would want to remove those unmanaged devices that are accessing your Exchange server. Okay. Okay, let's proceed. So certain department members might have requirements sometimes to share content within themselves without even the slightest form of leakage. For example, let's say that your R&D department needs to share blueprints for a product which is in development without even revealing it to the outside department members. So in this sort of a scenario, companies require a safe content sharing platform so that employees can access these details from their mobile devices. MDM allows for secure sharing and viewing of email attachments. Let's see how. Back to the product console. Under the device management tab, I go to the profiles to the left. I click on create profile. Let's say now for iOS devices, I want to create a specific profile. This again, platform specific profiles can be created here. Name of the profile, let's say it's for my R&D team. So I click continue. So I then proceed to click on restrictions on the left side. Within restrictions, I click on security. You can choose to allow or restrict data sharing between managed as well as unmanaged apps. So once I do that, this is what the display would look like on your device. Before, the data could be opened by any app you can choose which app you would want to, be it an unmanaged app as well. So now once that is done, once I put the restriction, we can restrict it to be opened by only a select few managed apps. Through this, we can ensure that the data isn't copied in any form, even captured as a screenshot. This is another very common scenario wherein sales teams deployed across different borders use their mobile devices for calls, messages, and accessing internet. And apart from that, there might be apps running in the background that consume network data. This can sometimes lead to very high mobile bills that have to be handled by the company. Companies need a solution that can regulate these expenses. Let's see how Mobile Device Manager Plus can solve this problem. Going back to the product console, device management, profiles. Let's create an Android profile this time. Okay. So click on restrictions, and on the subcategory network and roaming, I can restrict roaming data. Okay. So this solves a problem of unnecessary data consumption while roaming. Right. Moving on to the next scenario. So it can happen that your employees might carry a device which hold both personal as well as company data, and there could be instances wherein the integrity of this data is compromised. The contrary is also possible, wherein some employees carry around two devices, one for work and the other as a personal device. Carrying around two devices might also be a tiresome task, since we have to keep track of where each phone is. MDM solves these problems. So let's see how. Back to the product console. So we support a feature known as Play for Work from Google, which allows end users to install a pre-approved set of apps from the Google Play Store, which would be a dedicated corporate app. So what I mean to say is the employee can use the same phone and have two apps of the same kind, one for personal work and the other for business, on the same device. You can access this feature by clicking on the Enrollment tab and selecting Android for Work in the bottom left. So, okay. For Samsung devices, there is a containerization feature known as Knox. This feature name is taken from the world-renowned Fort Knox and performs a similar function of safeguarding certain apps on the device and separating corporate apps from personal apps. To activate this, I click on Device Management. I click on the Knox button located to the left. Well, initially I would require to upload a Knox license, and then I can then select the device that I want to containerize and click on Create Knox. Right. Okay. So you can choose apps that you would like to be containerized. These apps will be accessible only on clicking an icon similar to the one on the screen, which would open up all the corporate apps. The benefit of such a feature is that there is no compromise with regards to data integrity. The corporate app data stays separate, and so does the personal information. Okay, so this is the apps that would open up. I'm clicking. Okay. This is the next case. Companies such as Uber require that their drivers use only a few apps on their phone be it for navigation and or for customer pickup. Similarly, in the healthcare industry, hospitals make use of devices that are frequently used by the staff to enter details on the patient. This device can run only a single or select few apps if required. Well, let's see how this can be done. Back to the product console. Okay, on the device and device management tab, I click on profiles. Create a profile. Let's take iOS again. Okay, to the bottom left corner, there's something called Kiosk mode. I click on Kiosk mode. Now I can select whether I want to run a single app or multiple apps on the device. I then have to type out the app or click on the app that I want running on the device. You can also choose to restrict the other hardware buttons from functioning as well, as can be seen here. Okay, on saving and publishing this profile, I can then associate it to a particular device or a group. Moving on. As Murphy's Law states, if anything can go wrong, it will. And so is the case when it comes to technology. Sometimes when we need an important app to open on our device, it crashes. Just imagine a scenario wherein you need to urgently open a report that is only available on a particular app, and that app doesn't open at that point of time. Troubleshooting isn't your cup of tea. So such a scenario would require your IT department to troubleshoot and resolve this problem for you. Mobile Device Manager Plus to the rescue. Back to the product console. Click on inventory. So, okay. Let's say my friend Wegner is having a problem with his device and we need to pull some logs from his device. I click on Wegner's tab, the device. I go to Actions. And I select Remote Control. So only if the device user permits me to take control of his device will I be able to make any changes. So I say yes. A screen opens up on a new tab, as you can see, and we can troubleshoot the device here. So this is very helpful for any troubleshooting devices when an employee is out of town and can't access a particular app, or so on. So I can gain control of his device and solve his issue right then and there. Yeah, so this is the screen that is on the device, on Wagner's device. So this is happening simultaneously over the air. So yeah, I can gain access of his logs and make the changes required. Okay, close this session for now. Let's proceed into the next scenario. So some employees might require access to corporate resources on the go. And setting up a VPN is a bit of a tiresome task. But using Mobile Device Manager Plus, it can be provisioned to the employee's device instantaneously. Let me take you back to the product console. Go to Device Management. Click on Profiles. Let's take an iOS profile for now. So there's an option for VPN over here. Your IT department can fill in these details and associate the profile with the device or group. So there is no hassle from the employee's end to set up this VPN. Okay, let's move on. So Employees can be prone to virus attacks if they access malicious websites or download unverified third-party store apps. The IT department should blacklist certain sites and apps from being accessed via the mobile devices. So let's see how this can be done. Again, I take you back to the product console. Again, we have to navigate to the profiles under device management. I create a profile for iOS. Continue. I go down and select web content filter. Let's say that I found out that my employees spend their work time on sites like YouTube, and I want to blacklist this. So I click on the blacklist radio button. Here I just need to enter the URL and it will be blacklisted. Alright, as you can see, the format is incorrect, so we get a prompt for that as well. Done. Click Save, and I also have an option to automatically restrict inappropriate content. Okay. Similarly, I can blacklist certain apps that I find that have been found to be malicious. So I go to the Inventory tab. Click on Apps. So these are all the apps that are there in my network. I can choose, let's say, QuickBuzz as bringing down employee productivity. So I can just say mark as blacklist. So yeah, the employee will be notified via email to remove this app for 3 days. Well, Samsung devices, we can go a step further and uninstall these apps right away. All right. So no matter what type of company you are, whichever industry vertical you are present in, there will come a point in time where your data security might be compromised due to improper management of employee mobile devices. So to prevent such a thing from ever happening, Mobile Device Manager Plus is your weapon of choice. That's it from my end. We are now open to questions. Please feel free to use the chat box and enter your questions. Okay, we have a question. Do we support BlackBerry operating system? Well, we don't support BlackBerry operating systems as of now. We support the top 3 operating systems that are Windows, Android, and iOS. These are found out to be the top 3 operating systems this year alone. Okay, we have another question. So, what are our offerings? Well, we are available. The solution is available on both as a SaaS offering, as a cloud offering, as well as an on-premise offering. Okay, so what are we priced at is the next question. Prices start from anywhere between $15 per device per year to $20 per device per year. Next question is, do we support any integrations with existing? Yeah, we do support integrations with different solutions, most of which are ManageEngine solutions. We integrate with a suite of Zoho products as well, such as Desktop Central, and this ensures that you can use the same application to manage both desktops as well as your handheld devices. Okay, so if you have any other questions, please feel free to mail me on my email address mentioned here. Okay, I now hand it over to Dwani. Thanks, folks.
And that brings us to the end of this webinar. We hope you found this webinar valuable. We will email you the recording of this webinar and the presentation slides soon. In case we have missed any questions, we'll definitely answer them within next 2 working days. For more information on ManageEngine, you can visit www.manageengine.com. Thank you once again and have a great day.